Xbox handhelds represents the past and the presence of handhelds. You're like, what? Xbox handhelds represent the past and the presence of handhelds. Handheld gaming. You're like, huh? Okay, you're like, okay, what are you talking about? Oh, by the way, hello viewers. Another beautiful day. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. Xbox handhelds represent the past and the present. So, PC Games Inn had had two articles on this. One had the spec sheets on it. The first, the one talks about the Xbox Ally handheld is real, but it's missing one big upgrade, right? The other one now said this. The new AMD Ryzen gaming CPU isn't new at all, recycled from the Steam Deck. So what I did was I went back to the first one and that talks about the Asus Xbox Ally handheld is real. I went back and I looked at the spec sheets. So I'm sitting there reading them and I'm looking at them side by side. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing a deep dive on them. I'm like, okay, what does this all mean? So with the Xbox handhelds, Microsoft is making up for lost time, because when the Steam Deck came out and the Asus ROG come out, MSI Claw came out, Lenovo came out, Microsoft didn't have a handheld. So these two handhelds represent the past and the present. So I'm looking at the spec sheets and I'm reading it, and then I'm like, okay, what does this all mean? And then it clicked. The first Xbox Asus Xbox Ally, right? It says this: Windows 11 Home, Ryzen Z2A, 16 gigs of LPDDR5X, 6400, which the Steam Deck uses. And then it says 512 gigabytes of M.2 2280 SSD. Then it says upgradable. Then it says display 7-inch 1080p, 120 hertz, 16.9, 500 nits, AMD FreeSync Premium. And then it says I/O is 2x USB 3.2, Gen 2, and then Type C. And then it says W/display, port 2.1, and power delivery 3.0, 1x UHS 2 micro SD slot, 1 times 3.5 millimeter audio jack. And then if you go down, it says here, battery is 60 watts, dimension 290, dimension is 290.8 by 121.5 by 50.7 millimeters. Weight is 600 grams, and it says other is like 65 watt charger, include Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.4, Hall effect analog triggers, 2x assignable back buttons, Xbox face button, layouts, and Xbox guide button, right? That's the first one. Okay. The second one now is the Asus Xbox ROG Ally X, and it says Windows 11 Home, AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme, 24 gigs of LPDDR5X 8000 memory, 1 terabyte M.2 2280, upgradable, 7-inch 1080p, 120 hertz, 16.9, 500 nits, AMD FreeSync Premium, 1 USB 4 Type C, W/power delivery 3.0, and Thunderbolt 4, 1x USB 3.2, Gen 2 Type C, W display port 2.1, and power delivery 3.0, 1 UHS 2 micro SD card slot, 1x3 3.5 millimeter audio jack, 80 watts, 290.8 by 121.5 by 50.7 millimeters, 715 grams, 65 watt chargers included, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.4, impulse triggers, 2x assignable back buttons, Xbox face button layouts, and Xbox guide button. All right? Okay. All right. Now, so you're saying, okay, you read the specs. What does that all mean? The Xbox handhelds represent the past and the present. Meaning the first one that I read, if you remember, when Valve came out with the Steam Deck, right? They said we couldn't find a game the Steam Deck couldn't run, right? Okay. They made one Steam Deck with one Steam Deck, but they split it in three with the same specs. You had the 256, you had the 64 gig, 256, and 512, right? Those were the first three Steam Decks, right? Then Asus came out with the Asus ROG Ally, right? Okay. Lenovo came out with the Legion Go. MSI came out with the Claw 7. So you're saying, okay, what does the spec sheets really mean? The first one that I read to you, and it's called the Asus Xbox Ally. The first one, it represents the first generations of handhelds within the PC, meaning that it represents the Steam Deck, the Steam Deck 64 gigs, 256, 512. It represents the Asus ROG Ally, the white one. It represents the Lenovo Legion Go, and then it represents the MSI. That's the first one. The first the Xbox ROG Ally, or no, Asus Xbox ROG Ally represents the first generations of those handhelds. That's what that is for. Now, the Asus Xbox ROG Ally X now represents the Steam Deck OLED. It represents the ROG Ally X. It represents the Legion Go, and then it represents the Legion Go S. But then it represents the MSI Claw 8 AI, because the Asus Xbox ROG Ally X has AI in it, so it represents these forms of handheld. So it represents the past generations of handhelds and the second generation of these handhelds. So in other words, Microsoft is playing catch up with the first one, but with the second one now they're up to date. If you look at the spec sheets, you can see it's right there in front of you. So that's what this that's what the Xbox Asus Xbox ROG Ally X, or Asus Xbox ROG represents. They represent the past and the present. That's what they stand for. Because when I looked at this, what caught my attention though was when PC Games N came out with the article, and it says this new AMD Ryzen gaming CPU isn't new at all, recycled from the Steam Deck. But then I went to the article now that says that shows the Asus Xbox Ally handheld is real, but it's missing one big upgrade. So when I'm sitting there looking at the spec sheets side by side, I'm trying to say, okay, what does this all mean? Because if you remember when the Steam Deck came out, the Asus ROG came out, the Lenovo Legion Go came out, the MSI Claw 7, the first one came out, Microsoft never had a handheld. Remember, they had the phone connected to two Razer controllers, and you can connect it to your Xbox, and that was their way of playing games on a handheld. So what they did now with these new Xbox handheld is one is for the past, meaning that they got that covered, and the second one now is for the present, meaning that they have that one covered. So they are just making up for lost time with these two handhelds. If you guys understand, I'm teaching you the psychology of video games here. Both those handhelds represent the past and the present. That's what they're for. So you be like, yay, we got an Xbox handheld. Yeah, okay, cool. But what does that all mean though? It means that they're making up for lost time, and it means that one represents the past, the other represents the present. That's what they are. That's what it means there. Because I took a good look at this, and I'm like, okay, this is your first handheld, but you came out with two variants. What do they mean? What do they stand for? So they're making up for lost time with these two handheld. One represent the past, one represent the present. And when I saw the what gave it off too is when it said 16 gigs of LPDDR5X 6400. And then I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, now everything just clicked, everything just fall into place. And I looked at them side by side and see what they stand for. So the first model is to make up for the lost time when they never had a handheld on the market. That's when the Steam Deck came out. The first model Steam Decks, the MSI Claw 7, the Lenovo Legion Go, the Asus ROG Ally, the first one. That's what the first Xbox handheld is for. The second one now with the AI and the X represents the OLED, the Steam Deck OLED, the Asus ROG Ally X represents the Legion Go S, and of course the MSI Claw 8 AI and 7 AI. That's what they all mean. That's what those two handhelds represent. The past and the present. That's what it means. So now you guys know what they stand for now. So it's not that they got a handheld. It's that they were behind, because when that article came out, about Steam OS has a 16-point lead. I think it was a 16-point lead over Windows. It touched them. And remember when they announced the handhelds, they pulled it back, but then they reintroduced it during the Xbox showcase. So these two handhelds here now, one represents the past, meaning that they got that covered, and then the second one now represents the present. But there's one problem with those handhelds. There's no OLED screen. There's no OLED screen like on the second model. So they need to get that fixed. So yeah, that's what these handhelds are for. Is to make up for lost time since they didn't have one. And then the second one now is like it's more current because it has the AI technology and stuff like that within it. So yeah, so that's what they all mean right now with the with these two Xbox Ally. They're not bad handhelds. It's just it's just that when Microsoft when the Steam Deck came out, nobody knew that the Steam Deck was going to take off the way it did. Everybody was sitting there talking about the Switch, but the Switch wasn't even on the level of the Steam Deck. I mean, they can try to use sales numbers to say that's success, but as far as running games, the Steam Deck was in a world to itself. But they gave the developers the green light. When they said we couldn't find a game the Steam Deck couldn't run. Most developers now they feed off of that. Like, okay, you're saying, okay, we can build our handhelds as powerful as we want it, and they just took it and ran with it. So yeah, but when Microsoft now, when they came out now, when they saw all this happening now, and then their user base is getting on them like, okay, we need an Xbox handheld, and then that article that came out really stung them. So it was a wake up call for them. So they made two handhelds, one representing the past, meaning that it's first generation of handhelds, but the second now represents the current ones that's out now. So these handhelds right now, they're supposed to be coming out in I think the winter of 2025. So yeah, so you Xbox fans, if you're hardcore Xbox fans, I know they're going to get them, because they love Xbox, regardless of what people say. But these two handhelds though represent the past and the present in handhelds. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy though. Nice talking to you people again. Crystal Star Wars Star Trek thing board dark side. Go. Peace.